Hello and welcome to the screencast on reading and lesson plans. Some facts about struggling readers include 1 in 5 students is likely to have trouble reading. 80% of students that qualify for special education have trouble reading, and illiterate adults find themselves limited to low-income jobs. There are a few characteristics in children at a younger age that can determine if they will struggle with reading. The children began talking late or had delayed speech. They are difficult to understand when they do speak. Their progress in learning symbols and letter sounds is slower, and they cannot manipulate sounds. These are just a few characteristics among many others. A balanced literacy program should include reading to children, shared books and written experiences, phonic awareness training, explicit phonics and decoding instructions, practice and oral language development and listening experiences, systematic vocabulary development, modeling of written skills and techniques, opportunities for writing daily, and instructions practicing and editing. Phonemic awareness. Phonemic awareness is the understanding that the spoken words and syllables are made up of sequences of speech and sounds. It is impossible to isolate these sounds in order to assist in spelling and writing these words. Steps for teaching readings to a kid with LD. Now we are going to walk through the steps on how to teach reading to students with learning disability. Step 1 is to convince the child that you can teach him or her to read. Step 2 is to discuss rewards that work for the child. Rewards can help calm a frustrated child. Step 3 is determining what the child does and does not know using alphabet cards and asking the students to name the letter and the sound that it makes. Step 4 is determining the level of word recognition by the Wide Range Achievement Test. Step 5 is using nonsense words such as love to determine whether the child can blend sounds into words he or she has never seen or heard. Step 6 is listening to the child read at his or her own independent reading level, checking for fluency and how they figure out unknown words. Step 7 is analyzing the data, and Step 8 is making a plan by setting goals and strategies. Word walls are used as a visual for students. Once a student learns a word, it should go up on the wall and be used for a daily review of the words the student has already learned. When students spell, not every word is a new word. Students can use the word clumping strategy to find words within the bigger word that the student already knows. When working with an emerging reader, reading needs to become a daily task. You should not overwhelm the students, but they should be reading 30 minutes a day, broken up into 3 10-minute segments. Emerging readers also need to know that there is a silent E and the guy is a bully. He makes a vowel to say its name. This will make reading make more sense to the student. Now moving on to the writing portion of the screencast. Facts about writing, spelling, and reading. Assessing speech is often a teacher's first step toward evaluating spelling and writing because problems with producing speech correlate highly with the problems in spelling and writing. Spelling simply refers to a student's ability to create words that are grammatically correct, but is too often used to judge a student's writing ability. Some ways to assist a student with spelling is to let the students have their own dictionary. That way they can look up words and learn how sounds go together at their own pace. You can have the student write out the words several times that are giving he or she the most trouble. You can also create spelling activities that allow the students to play games with words, hopefully storing the words into memory. There is a method to teach students spelling. Step 1 is for you to say the word, the. Step 2 is to have the student repeat the word, the. Step 3 is for you to say T-H-E spells the. Step 4 is to ask the student to repeat what you just said and talk to them about some of the blends that are going on in the word. For our example, you would talk about the TH sound in the beginning of the word the. Step 5 is to have the students watch your mouth as you slowly say the TH and the E as you point to the letters. Step 6 is to have the student repeat the phrase T-H-E spells the. 3 times as you point to the letters. Step 7 is to have the students write these words 3 times as they say the letters. Handwriting. Once a student can read at the 2nd grade level, they can begin working on cursive. In teaching letters and letter recognition, emphasis on the basic shape of the printed letter, and then introduce a different style of representing the letters while reiterating the sounds each letter makes. For mechanics of handwriting, it is important to make sure the student is at a 2nd grade reading level. It is important to teach them to proofread their work before submitting it. Sometimes students just rush through their work just to try to get it done because it's too difficult, but really having the student proofread their work before submitting it is one of the key mechanics of handwriting. Students also need to be taught to analyze a sentence. This will begin to explain to the student that a sentence is a complete thought, as it involves teaching students the different parts of a sentence, noun, verbs, and phrases. Once they master these skills, students will begin to learn how to write in paragraphs. Now we're moving on to the mathematics portion of the screencast. There are many reasons a student may experience difficulty with math. Lack of readiness is one of those possibilities. Some students come to school having been exposed to math, and some students have not had the exposure and are not fully ready to learn math. Another reason may be visual perceptual deficit. It is common to see children reversing numbers when writing, not being able to grasp the meaning of a set or a group, cannot accurately count without moving manipulatives from one place to another as they count, and older students cannot line up columns of numbers. Another reason may be poor spatial sense or poor memory. Poor spatial sense talks about the students may not be able to grasp the concept of over, under, or more or less. In poor memory, they may need accommodations in math due to not being able to remember simple facts in addition, so they won't be able to move forward with multi-number addition, like 2 and 3 numbers, adding them together. They may need a calculator to help assist them. The purpose of assessment. Assessments are valuable in determining which skills students will need to learn. It is helpful as the educator to watch the students take the assessment to see how they go about solving the problems and how they react when they are uncertain. This will help the educator determine how the student is thinking and what they can implement to help solve the problem. Levels of understanding. Understanding concepts has always happens from concrete levels to representational levels to abstract levels. Concrete is a student using manipulatives. From here, it moves from representational thinking. This is where students can look at symbols or pictures to understand how to move things around to get an answer. The last stage is the abstract level. This level is where the student understands the concept so well that they can manipulate concepts in their head.